Before I came to Australia, the perception I had of Australia and the people who occupied it were primarily white Australians. And I come to a place like Melbourne and it just all gets blown out the window. I was meeting Australians that had a background from Ethiopia, Kenya, Sudan, China, Vietnam. So the question is, I put to myself, what is Australia, or who are Australians? And what is an Australian identity? The markets were incredible. I mean, they had every kind of cuisine going. Everything I saw, I wanted to eat. It was really hard to choose. And what's it like for you living in such a multicultural city?
I love it. Like, Melbourne's amazing. Everyone is so friendly, and I think that's because it's so multicultural. There's so many different people here from Asia, Europe, Africa. Yeah, I think we all embrace each other for what we offer, whether it be food, music, art, culture, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's great.
Hello. So I met Mojo Juju. She is half Filipino, half Indigenous. Mojo had some really interesting stuff to say about growing up with a dual culture.
As a kid, I always identified as a Filipino-Australian because I felt like I knew a lot more about my Filipino heritage and felt very connected to that part of my identity. As far as the Indigenous kind of part of my heritage, it was a lot harder to access because of things like genocide, stolen generation, and also just like the kind of racism that means that people keep secrets, you know, so we lost a lot of our heritage.
I thought Mojo would be a good person to talk to about what it means to be Australian.
Growing up, I didn't really see myself reflected in a lot of the Australian narrative that you're sold. There wasn't anyone on television or on the radio that looked like me or sounded like me or had, you know, my story didn't get told. I think that's changing. It's starting to change. I do think it is an interesting time. I think there's much more visibility starting to happen, and there is a shift on a kind of institutional level to be more inclusive.
Do you feel more like you belong in Melbourne?
Yeah, look, it is a cultural hub, I think, of Australia. There's so much live music and theatre and art, and that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be amongst that. I think it's also a really diverse city. There's a lot of visibility of people from different backgrounds.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks so much for taking me here.
No worries.
So I met Himanshi and she was awesome. She runs a kind of a foodie cultural tour experience, and she was the perfect person to learn about all the different cuisines on hand.
There's been a lot of different migration waves that have come through Australia all of this time. About the 1970s is when proper skilled migration started. Then we started getting people from various different nationalities through Asia, East Timor, and it makes such an impact on the food and the cuisine we get in Melbourne. Like, you walk through a street in Melbourne, you will not see a plain only fish and chip shop. I think that's multicultural Australia.
And we met this man from Afghanistan, and I really thought he was the best seller in the market. Like, he is a natural born seller.
Only $2.99 kilo mandarin, $2.99, $2.99.
When you see these people, you know, you have your own preconceived notions about who they are. But when you talk to the people and when you learn their story, it hits you here. Why did you come to Australia from Afghanistan?
You know Afghanistan problem. Afghanistan is still war. 45 years Afghanistan is still war. Yeah, before first coming Russia, after Russia is now coming Taliban, America, all together is now fight.
His story is overwhelming. He escaped war, he came over on a boat, and he's just trying to make a better life for himself. And he loves Australia because Australia makes him feel safe. How long have you been here?
Maybe been here walking 5 years, been here 10 years.
10 years
Yeah.
in Melbourne.
Yeah,
Yeah, you like it?
yeah, I like it. Very good, very nice.
I was there to listen and to hear his story, and I wish more people would do that because there's so much hatred and fear in this world everywhere. If the tables were turned, you know, and if we were fleeing to their country, how would you want to be treated? I wish people would just understand that we're all human. So I went to a Sudanese restaurant for lunch and I met Amit. He came to Australia with his entire family and they fled the war in South Sudan.
That time we used to have a war between South and North. They used to catch you from the road and they put you in a big truck and they send you back to where the war is. Yeah, it was very sad, you know. I have a lot of friends, they passed away. They killed them, yeah.
It's heartbreaking, that's what it is. It's heartbreaking. You listen to their story. They didn't come here by choice, but they're here now and they're making it their home. They're trying their best to feel at home.
The communities here, they're very nice. Especially Australian people, when we came here, they open for us the doors and they welcome us. I feel safety when I walk in the street. That's the main thing. And I feel safety in my family here.
Every human should feel like they have a home.
Yeah, this is our home now.
And to feel safe.
Yeah, this is our home.